Welcome to Live Interactive English. Hello everyone, I'm Mike.
And hello, I'm Rainbow.
And we are back with part 2 of the legend of Sleepy Hollow.
Let's recap what happened yesterday.
I got really scared.
There were so many different characters.
There are a few different
characters. They were fighting over a girl.
That's true. We should originally start though with the Headless Horseman. This is kind of a ghostly figure, a monster of some kind. Very mysterious, but it rides around the town of Sleepy Hollow.
Looking for his head.
In New York State, looking for his head, often seen at night, maybe on a night with no moon, riding along the pathways really fast. I think he rides through people because he's kind of a ghost.
He's a ghost.
Right? And he's also the Headless Horseman.
Disturbing.
Scary, but the horseman, is scared of the church. He never rides by the church. And this is kind of a thing that happens in this part of the world. Everyone there knows about it. They might know, don't go out on dark nights because the Headless Horseman might go by and, you'll die or your hair will turn white or you'll disappear or something. But that was all fine until Ichabod Crane moved to town. He's got an interesting name, but he's a teacher. He's a school teacher.
And he was falling in love with this girl named Katrina, who is the daughter of a really rich guy.
In the town of Sleepy Hollow.
That's right. Yeah. But there was another guy in the story named Brom.
That's right. Brom Bones was a local young man also living in Sleepy Hollow.
Fighting for the love.
He loves Katrina as well, but he doesn't sound like a kind of nice guy, gentleman character like Ichabod Crane, the school teacher. No, Brom Bones is like the town tough guy, the town bully. He was trying to scare Ichabod away from Katrina by telling him stories about the Headless Horseman and also by breaking into the schoolhouse and making a mess. He's basically just a tough guy who thinks he can, tell people what to do and get Ichabod to leave him alone. So he can go out with Katrina. I bet Katrina likes Ichabod more. He sounds like more of a gentleman. Anyway, so let's find out what's going to happen in the story and how all of this is going to go and tie back to the Headless Horseman. It will all make sense in part 2 of the legend of Sleepy Hollow.
Ichabod was scared by Brom's tales, so he decided to ride home on a borrowed horse, Gunpowder. During the journey, Ichabod heard another horseman behind him. When he turned around, he saw with horror that the rider was carrying his own head in his hands. It was the Headless Horseman.
All right, here we are with part 2 of the legend of Sleepy Hollow. Let's get back into it. This love triangle between Ichabod, Katrina, and Brom. It's still going on. It says Ichabod was scared by Brom's tales. So he decided to ride home on a borrowed horse, Gunpowder.
Interesting name.
Oh my gosh, very interesting. So this was at a party that they were at, and Brom was telling Ichabod, oh, you're new in town. Do you know about the Headless Horseman? Oh, he's terrifying. He'll take you to hell and kill you. He's trying to scare Ichabod into running away. Well, I don't know if he scared him into leaving town, but he certainly scared Ichabod into running away from the party and getting home as fast as possible. He did it on a borrowed horse, not his horse. He asked someone, hey, can I use your horse? I gotta go. And this horse was called Gunpowder. Probably the horse was like gray or something, like the color of gunpowder.
Sounds
maybe.
So pretty.
Anyways, during the journey, Ichabod heard another horseman behind him. So imagine it's a very dark night in October. There's fog, there's all these trees kind of closing in on the little path or the little road that Ichabod's riding on, and he hears this noise behind him, but he's so scared he doesn't even want to look back because what is going on? Is this a journey home or a journey to hell?
I think the second one. And what is a journey? It is a long trip to somewhere. You know, when you go on a journey, it's not just like an hour, you know, it could be days and days and days or even months, or you could be years on the road. It's very long and it's probably going to be difficult. There's a lot of twists and turns, but eventually you're going to get somewhere. So when we journey somewhere, it's when we take a long trip to the unknown. Sometimes it has that feeling of we don't know what will happen. Jamie began to feel sick during the car journey. I guess he was on the car for a very long time.
A trip, a voyage, a journey. All right,
yeah.
So on this journey home, Ichabod feels that he is being followed, but followed by whom?
When he turned around, he saw with horror that the rider was carrying his own head in his hands. It was the headless horseman.
That's not a safe way to ride a horse. You should use both hands.
You should put your head back on.
Yeah, you should definitely have a bag for your head. I wouldn't carry it with me.
It's horror indeed.
Yeah, it's a little bit scary. It's definitely scary. That's why he was filled with horror. Horror is like terror, great and paralyzing fear.
Awful, dangerous.
When you wake up at 4 in the morning and the whole bedroom is shaking, there's an earthquake. Ah! You're not going to go, there's an earthquake happening and I should get out of bed and leave my room as quickly as possible. No, your mind is filled with and oh. It's horror. It's terror. It's really, really scary.
It's bad,
all right, so that's
bad.
the feeling that you have. I was
Fear.
filled with horror. The horror grabbed my heart when I realized the accident was about to happen. It's great fear and awful things. For example, Kate was filled with horror when she watched the Scary Movie. And you know what we call those scary movies?
Horror movies.
Horror movies, because they're very scary. All right, let's take a break and then we'll come back and find out what happens to Ichabod and his head.
What happens to gunpowder?
Oh yeah, poor gunpowder.
Hello， 大家好，我是 Winnie。我们在第一天的故事读到 Brom 对情敌 Ichabod 恶作剧，在一场宴会上，他告诉 Ichabod 他已经见过无头骑士很多次了。那么 Ichabod 被 Brom 的故事吓到，决定向人借一匹马骑回家。那在途中，他就听到后面有另一名骑士。当他转过身的时候，很惊恐的看到那名骑士手里拿着自己的头，那就是无头骑士，也太可怕了吧？那么课文单字 journey 表示旅程、行程或是旅行。那么 horror 这个名词表示恐惧、惊恐。Mike 老师在描述极大的恐惧时，他有用到 paralyze 这个动词 paralyze。paralyze 表示使瘫痪、使麻痹。好，接着回到课文中。
Gunpowder sped away from the horsemen with Ichabod on his back, but the ghost kept following them. Ichabod remembered that the horsemen could not cross the church bridge, so he raced toward it for safety. However, after he crossed to the other side and turned around, the horseman threw his head directly at him. It hit Ichabod on the forehead, and he fell to the ground with a crash. Ichabod was not seen again in Sleepy Hollow, but his hat was found the next morning beside a smashed pumpkin. His possessions were sold, and Katrina married Brom. For years after, when Brom was asked about Ichabod, he would simply laugh and wonder aloud if Ichabod was still scared of pumpkins.
Oh my gosh, so Ichabod is scared, very scared, and Gunpowder is probably very scared too.
Oh, sure.
Everybody is terrified.
Not the headless horseman.
Yes. What happens to Gunpowder? Gunpowder sped away from the horseman with Ichabod on his back, but the ghost kept following them. Ichabod remembered that the horseman could not cross the church bridge, so he raced toward it for safety.
That's a good plan.
Smart.
So he's being chased by this terrible demon on a horse or whatever it is.
Crazy ghost.
But he knows that because the power of God in the church is so strong in that part of the town, if I ride on the bridge past the church, It will be like an invisible wall, this wall that the headless horseman can't go close to because he can't be near the church. This is the way I will lose him on my chase. I will stop him from coming after me. Not a bad plan, Ichabod, especially for a man whose mind is filled with horror. However, after he crossed to the other side and turned around, I remember this from the movie. This is really cool. He crosses to the other side of the bridge. It's a covered bridge, like they have in New England, making it even scarier. He turns around to be like, ha, headless horseman can't follow me. He turns around. The horseman, what did the horseman do?
Threw his head?
The horseman threw his head directly at him. Oh my goodness. The head is sometimes on fire. Sometimes it's an orange pumpkin, like from Halloween. But either way, if a guy with no head has a head with him
and throws a head at you,
he chooses not to put it back on him, but to throw it at you, this is a bad situation. And it's even worse because the headless horseman was probably a baseball pitcher. It hit Ichabod. The head
straight
hit
on the forehead.
Ichabod on the forehead, and he fell. That's actually kind of funny. And he fell to the ground with a crash, going, oh my God, a head hit my head. This is not what I expected riding home from the party.
No. And there was a huge crash.
Ow.
Crash is like, bam, two things coming together. It's like two cars there in a car accident, or in this case, a head and another human being, and everything is coming together in a bad way. And crashes are often indicators of accidents, bad things happening. When something crashes, it's not good news because things could break, things could get really noisy, things could get really complicated, people could be hurt. I heard a crash in the other room.
So it could just be the sound that you hear.
It could be.
Could have been someone just dropped something, but that loud sound, again, like with cars hitting or dropping pots and pans on a kitchen floor, either way, it makes that loud sound like a crash or a crash of noise. Back to Ichabod. So he's been hit by the head. He's fallen on the ground. He's on one side of the bridge. He hopes that the headless horseman can't follow him. And then what happens?
We continue our story. Ichabod was not seen again in Sleepy Hollow, but his hat was found the next morning beside a smashed pumpkin.
He just disappeared?
He disappeared.
He got hit by the head, crashed to the ground, and then poof, he's gone.
And in his place was a smashed pumpkin.
A smashed pumpkin.
This is not a full pumpkin.
Right.
It was like a broken pumpkin.
Very
indicating
interesting.
a crash.
Someone has been smashing pumpkins. All right, let's see what happens next.
His possessions were sold. And Katrina married Brom.
Oh, no, not Brom.
Well, I mean, he was gone, so.
That's true, and Brom was still around.
Yeah,
and
and there was just the one suitor left.
Not great, but you got to marry someone, right, Katrina? Anyway, so that was it. Ichabod basically disappears from the town.
Or turned into a smashed pumpkin.
We have no idea, and life just went on for quite a while, because next it says, for years after. So for many years after this very scary night that, of course, everyone remembers, but no one can really explain, for years after, when Brom was asked about Ichabod, he would simply laugh and wonder aloud if Ichabod was still scared of pumpkins. I don't like Brom.
That's very terrifying.
Yeah, he's just not a nice guy.
He's a creeper.
He is. He's not a nice person. Anyway, so he would laugh aloud and wonder aloud. So if you do something aloud, you do it out loud in a way that people can hear. All right? So if you're thinking aloud, you could be in your mind thinking, what should I have for dinner tonight?
And you
should
say
I have some ramen or should I have
eat?
some sushi? Or you can say, what do you think I should have for dinner tonight? Should I have some ramen or some sushi? I'm thinking aloud, okay? So it's something that you could do quietly, you could do in your head, but you choose to do it using your voice so other people can hear. For example, we have Barnaby here. Barnaby thought aloud about his problem. I'm named Barnaby, and that's a very strange name. What should I do? All right, what do you think? Here's our what do you think question. Do you think that Ichabod was really chased by the headless horseman, or was it something else? Brom! Excuse me. Brom! Excuse me, I can't stop coughing here.
So Brom dressed up as the headless horseman and carried the head, and then basically, like, did he kill Ichabod?
Who knows? Maybe, or maybe it just really worked and he scared Ichabod back to Connecticut. And Brom got to get the girl in the end. But I don't know. It sounds like Brom might have used the legend in order to scare Ichabod, the new guy in town. But we'll never really know, will we? All right, guys, thanks for joining us. Be careful out there on the road. Don't talk to people with no heads. And stay away from people named Brom. That shouldn't be too hard. I've never met a Brom.
Me neither.
All right. Bye, everyone. Take care.
Goodbye. Awful story.
好，那这个无头骑士的鬼魂就一直跟着Ichabod。这时候想起了无头骑士没办法越过教堂旁边那个桥嘛，于是他就加速前往那座桥。当他穿过桥来到另一边，转身后，哇，那个骑士直接把头丢向他，还击中他的额头，然后砰的一声，他就摔到地上。之后再也没有人在沉睡谷见过 Ichabod， 但隔天早上呢，有人在一颗砸烂的南瓜旁边发现了他的帽子。那后来他的财产被卖掉了 ，Katrina 嫁给了 Brom。多年后 ，Brom 被问到了这个 Ichabod 的事情时，他就边笑边说，不知道 Ichabod 现在还会不会怕南瓜。他真的很坏耶。好，那我们来看单字 crash。crash 是名词，表示撞击声或者是爆裂声。那么 allowed 当副词，表示出声底或大声底。那补充单字 smash 这个动词表示打碎、摔破或者是猛击。文中用到 smashed 这个过去分词来当形容词，描述砸烂的。好，那这边两个重点，我们进入文法时间。我们来看第一个重点是表达攻击、拉、抓身体部位的动词。那我们要表达说动作施加在某人的身体部位时，可以用到以下的句型，就是动词加上 somebody， 再加介系词，加上定冠词 the， 再加身体部位。那其中这个介系词呢，会依身体部位以及动词而有所不同。我们首先来看第一种是表示攻击或者是接触身体部位的表面时，我们介系词用 on。举例来说 ，The ball hit him on the head。那颗球击中他的头。那第二种呢，我们要表达拉扯、抓住的动作时，会用到 by。常见的动词可能有 grab、pull 或者是 catch 等等。举例来说 ，She grabbed me by the arm and dragged me outside。她抓住我的手臂，把我拉到外面。那第三种呢，是表达说带有侵入性的攻击动作时会用到 in， 像 The police officer shot the attacker in the leg and arrested him。远警开枪射中袭击者的腿部，并将他逮捕了。好，那再看到第二个重点是 if 引导名词子句，表示说是否怎么样怎么样。那常常会接在 wonder 表示纳闷、想知道，或者是 ask 询问、tell 告诉、know 知道等等的动词后面来当受词用，形成间接问句。好，那这时候 if 它可以用 whether 来代换。举例来说 I wonder if they are interested in this project， 或者是 I wonder whether they are interested in this project。 我想知道他们对这个企划案是否有兴趣。好，那么以上这些讲解，同学别走开，马上回来哦。
Ichabod was scared by Brom's tales, so he decided to ride home on a borrowed horse, Gunpowder. During the journey, Ichabod heard another horseman behind him. When he turned around, he saw with horror that the rider was carrying his own head in his hands. It was the headless horseman. Gunpowder sped away from the horseman with Ichabod on his back, but the ghost kept following them. Ichabod remembered that the horseman could not cross the church bridge, so he raced toward it for safety. However, after he crossed to the other side and turned around, the horseman threw his head directly at him. It hit Ichabod on the forehead, and he fell to the ground with a crash. Ichabod was not seen again in Sleepy Hollow, but his hat was found the next morning beside a smashed pumpkin. His possessions were sold, and Katrina married Brom. For years after, when Brom was asked about Ichabod, he would simply laugh and wonder aloud if Ichabod was still scared of pumpkins.
Here's how to play. The host will be holding 3 cards. Each card will have 2 sentences containing a secret vocabulary word or phrase that has been replaced by the word bear. The host will read the sentences out loud for the contestants to guess. Whoever guesses first gets a point. The person with the most points wins. And you can play along too.
Hi everyone, my name is Winnie.
I'm Stephen.
I'm Carolyn. And we're gonna play Guess the Bear. You guys ready?
Yes, we are.
I hope so. Our first one is a verb and it is one word. Betty bared the coffee from a mile away. Can you bear that? Something's burning.
Smell!
Ooh, that goes Stephen, I'm sorry. So Betty smelled the coffee from a mile away. Can you smell that? Something's burning.
I could tell she knew what it was from the first
So
I
you,
could tell.
but you got your S in. Okay.
You were like,
Strategy.
Yes.
Okay. Noun, one word. Being too full, Felix only took 2 bears of the cake. Something took a bear out of that apple.
Bite.
Ooh.
Can-
Sorry,
can-
Carolyn.
Sorry, Carolyn. I did hear myself go first.
Yeah. Being too full, Felix only took 2 bites of the cake. Something took a bite out of that apple.
I could tell she could
I
do it
knew
from the
both
first
of you
one,
guys,
too.
yeah. Okay, but you know what? I'm gonna give you a chance. You can win, okay? Because this one's worth 2 points.
Oh, you
or
just-
at least tie.
Okay.
Phrase, 2 words. Grace likes to bear her hot dogs. Abby bared her phone, bear the dresser.
Put on. I did hear myself go first again. But the thing is, like each time.
Who's hosting this show?
I just, right? I heard myself go first, right?
Sorry. Grace likes to put mustard on her hot dogs. Abby put her phone on the dresser.
Good game.
Congratulations. Our winner of the day.
I just feel